So part two, I'm live. I was starting to get a little disconnected in the last video, so I wanted to be safe than sorry. So we were talking about the pharmaceutical sales rep that I had met today, talking about real food, live food, the idea of finally believing that the silent majority is taking action. I mean, just seeing Craig Sawyer and his group of men that are standing up for, I mean, something that there should be no line in the sand of people on the other side, you know, trying to not do anything about child trafficking. Like, what? And if they are on the other side, they're the ones you arrest. Those are the ones that you take down. I mean, it's really black and white. I mean, there's not many issues, but it really is becoming a very clean cut choice at this point of whether you're about life or you're about death. And I find it very interesting how it's all been coming together the last few years. And in the culmination of it, just makes me so happy to see men in that were former military truly standing up for what's right. There was a usurping of honor in the military for the last 4 decades, if not longer. It's like double-mindedness, and this is very near and dear to my heart because I do come from a military family in many ways. I can explain it later, but it is very bothersome to me to see the military men go in there. Number one, they always feed off poverty. They've turned it into a mercenary. The leaders of not only our country, but unfortunately most countries in the world, they've turned their military into a mercenary crew that are easily... try being the lawyer or the representative for that PR damage control. Please, please. Go down there and please tell us and explain to us why a cement company has children's furniture tie up rape trees, why they've got weird stuff in a septic tank. They were keeping kids in a septic tank. Are you kidding me? Please, someone that represents Cemex, please come down and explain. I would love to see the PR. I would love to see that. Check it out. Check it out, you guys. It's unbelievable. Everything that's been coming up and being exposed with Pedogate and the global mafia that human traffics, organ traffics, drug traffics, and child traffics has just been completely unhinged with the very practicalities of what they've exposed in Tucson, Arizona. It's all coming out. And to have people actually care, because their local police is bought, they're not doing anything, is pretty amazing. So it seems like a lot of people have been hashtagging 1776, and it makes me really happy, and I'll tell you why. In 1776, I had a 5th grade uncle. Okay. He was part of the Greenback Beret Boys. He he was a general in the Revolutionary War. He worked in cohesion with George Washington. But I'll tell you what was interesting. First of all, he has a statue in Washington, D.C., but you'll never be taught who he is and what he really represented. I'm going to tell you why. And they pulled all of his books. You can't find a copy of his books. Try looking up General John Stark. You can't. Maybe they'll give you a wiki about this and that. And they were also trying to turn it around into being something negative. But let me tell you the major points about what he was about. And I find this so unbelievably mind-boggling in this day and age, and I'm sure that most military men will understand what I'm talking about when I say this. One of his major key points in having a free society and what they were really truly going to fight for if they were really going to go against the British and really cut ties. Now, if we see what's happening with Britain and the Catholic Church now, people don't change their game. So I'm going to bet the same BS that's going on now between Vatican and Britain, and all this insanity, this really gnarly human trafficking, keeping people down, using them as fodder. The whole, system of destruction, literally soul destructive. It was there in 1776. People were seeing that for how many centuries? Britain turned into the new Rome, basically. So you've got these people in America that are like, you know what? We really truly want to live free. And it's not this idea of just rebelling. That's what like Hollywood loves to push, because they just love people just to rebel, just to be an asshole. It's not about that. It's about standing up for something that you know is truly wrong and knowing you can live above it. Ooh. I'm going to say that again. It's not just about rebellion, because blindly being a rebellious person, you end up becoming an asshole. But it's about standing up for something that you truly know is wrong, no matter how dangerous it could possibly be or how much power the other side has. You know and you believe that you can stand up and live better and live beyond that crap. That's being free and living your own conscience. That was at the heart of the 1776 Revolutionary War. And I'll tell you something, in his notes, in General John Stark's notes, he said one of the key points was to make sure the military was always voluntary. It was based on all the citizens within a republic that believe themselves to be free, that also have a contract with each other to honor and dignify each individual's right to exist and to have a free mind in choosing what best lives out their own livelihood without clearly hurting anyone, following the 10 Commandments, Could you imagine that? You have a group of people that come together and say, we are going to create this new republic. We're going to set down certain constitutionary guidelines. There's no taxation, because they knew taxation was what it's going to be now. Look, the taxes don't go to you. They go to all the nasty stuff that globally destroys everything. Don't you think the same thing was happening in 1776? Yeah. That's why they fought in the first place. Don't get it twisted. Oh, I'm just going there next. I'm just so tired of this. So then the most important thing, when you're dealing with military and you're dealing with honorable people that are choosing to dignify life, they're choosing to look at each other with dignity and respect, not trying to control each other in everyday mental, mass brainwashing things. You've got your farm over there. I got my farm over there. We respect each other's space. You do what you need to do. I'm not going to be all up in your business. I'm not going to be telling you what to do. We're not going to create a bureaucracy here. But when an outside enemy comes in to try to destroy us, we as citizens come together voluntarily to decide what's the honorable thing to do. Ooh, the honorable thing to do. They're not going out trying to actively wage war on other people to get more from others. This was all a concept of, we want to live in peace. We want to create our homesteads. We want to live by our own conscience. We want to be able to, live out what God's will would be for their own individual lives. You know, and God, the true God, has an individual course for each individual person because we're all individuals and we all have unique, we're like snowflakes, and in the best sense, not the liberal snowflakes, but flowers. You can't have the same flower. It's impossible. I got a battery up. Hold up. And, you know, wise people know that. You know, stupid people think that everyone's like them. What? Please. No one. No. Unless you want to be an avatar. So, if there was no paid military and everything has to be voluntary, people can choose to be involved or not be involved, which he said guarantees that when they all decide to go to protect or to do whatever they need to do, it's going to be honorable. Otherwise, you have mercenaries. And you know what? That is all we see now. That is all we see. We see a systematic process of getting the most vulnerable people that have no other opportunity in life but to join the military because they don't have a lot of money. They want an education. Really, it's an indoctrination, not an education, because they don't believe they can read their own books and create their own reality. They need to get it from the elites that are going to use them up in order to give them this indoctrination. They've been used as guinea pigs, and I'll tell you how they have been. Most recently, they're guinea pigs for transhumanism. Put them out there in harm's way. Half their limbs get blown up. Well, let's experiment with transhumanism, and let's call them supermen. Because they don't want humans anymore. They want robots. They want any and every way to merge AI with the human body so that we don't truly have our own conscience anymore. Is that too deep for you? Because you know what? It's the reality right now. They're experimenting with plastic food with the military right now. 3D printed food. And the Bilderberg group, just this last year, had a meeting with the youngest person they've ever allowed in on this meeting. And the only reason they did was because he's a young man that has this idea of getting rid of plastics in the ocean. They also know that now you can create food with 3D printing through plastic. This guy needs $22 million to increase his business. The Bilderbergs, I promise you, will join forces with this kid because on a mass scale, the next level of the new kind of food in order to be, what's the word they like to use? Sustainable? These bastards use the word sustainable. I can promise you they aren't sustainable with themselves. I mean, do you think that the queen, who owns half of the world, is sustainable? She's not sustainable. That castle alone is just retarded. So these were legitimate ideals that General Stark had, okay? And it is absolutely applicable today because we see the fruit of what's happened by not listening. Because you know who didn't like that? George Washington. At the end of the day, George Washington was kind of like an opposite of England. They make him be out like our hero father or whatever, but honestly, he was kind of like one foot in, one foot out because he wanted to mimic America to be like Britain. Whereas General John Stark was like, how are we going to be free if we mimic the enemy? If we set up our entire government based on the mimic of being the enemy, we're not going to be free. Hello? Anyway, dropping some knowledge there. Do your own research. I had his books somewhere in my library, but it might be in storage right now because I didn't see it tonight. I was looking for it before I did this video, and I don't. So check it out for yourselves, and it'll be interesting. Write in the comments, please, what you find, and I can do another video at a later date when I have the book in front of me. And of course, there's just been some certain family talk over the years about this sort of stuff as well. And I've had family involved in military and CIA and things like that. And you learn things. You know, you learn things. You learn what's good. You learn what's bad. And like I said, watching these men, Craig Sawyer, and doing what they do, my heart is just like, yeah, yeah. It is 1776 all over again. It makes me really happy. It's time. It's time to stand up for the good. And so, like I was doing in the part one of this video, I know it's late. I just was so jazzed talking to that Merck sales rep tonight and finding out so many things from his perspective, and just seeing how someone who was so supposedly dug into that lifestyle change, um, you know, he talked about the regret of being involved in the first place. You know, a little bit. He felt regret. His heart fell. His heart fell when I said, you know, you think about all the kids that have lost so much of their reality because they've been put on lithium, or they've been put on all these different drugs when really all they needed was love and real food and space. Just some peace in the house. Peace. You know? Um, but people throw them on a bunch of drugs because it makes money. And the same thing with the elderly. And he's just like, gosh, you know, just it really breaks my heart because it's truly simply just a moneymaker. It's really truly not healing anybody. Wow. How powerful is that? And if you're listening to this and maybe you're in a situation on some level of a certain industry that you know your conscience is just screaming at you, listen to it. Because you know what he said to me? He said, you know, I almost knew immediately when I got hired, I was doing it to be successful and what people thought was going to be very. Oh my gosh, you're right, Siobhan. It totally is the reality of Revelations. I just read that. You're absolutely right. Blending the metal and the clay. Oh, 100%. Thanks for saying that. Absolutely 100%. You're right. Um, so he said that he said for all the millions of Siobhan, if you heard me, I said thank you for making that comment about the clay and the metal. You're totally right about that. It really is. It totally is. That's why we're starting to see this huge divide of like people that are finally seeing the truth on the what's really right, and then people that are like they're not even willing to stand up for child trafficking. They're making excuses for everything. And you're like, okay, dude, like, you're on the wrong side of history. You know, it's bad. It's bad. People are broke in the mind, broke. So, yeah, he walked away from it because of his conscience, and everything worked out. You know, and I mean, I walked away. I'm always very dramatic, and I never I never think of a safety net. I'm terribly Aries impulsive. I'm terribly impulsive, and I'm just like, I'm out. I'm gone. I don't know what's gonna happen to me, but I'll be fine. And it's like, oh God, I leave myself in these horrible situations. And I'm like, ah, but it always works out. Like, always works out. So you don't have to be as extreme as me. I don't think most people should be as extreme. I get extreme. But know that you can live beyond this box of what people say is the only way. Don't get an Alexis. It's all about listening in on people And also, it's about the 5G network, which the vibration of that technology really messes with the human chromosomes of what keeps us in a natural space. Like, so we're all energy. Like what you see here is the physical culmination of my energy flowing, okay? If you put in like an intercessory vibration to interfere with that, it literally can start breaking apart your cells. And that's sort of what the 5G network is about. Yeah, you're right. The 5G spreads. Yeah, it's interesting, Siobhan. So I've been house hunting a bit and looking for housemates or whatnot. And I've found this wonderful situation. I'm not going to go into detail. Clearly, you understand why, but um, perfect situation. Awesome. But this other situation was this person. They were like, I just got this brand new house and it's going to be really great. And I'm like a big gadget person. And I'm going to make sure you don't have to worry about anything. And we're going to have the smartphone. We're going to have the smart this. We're going to have smart that. It's going to be awesome. And I'm like, that's like moving into the death house for me, especially with what I do and what I talk about. I'm like, the last thing I need is 5G, Siri, and an Echo. I would be done. So, I mean, for those of you that understand what I'm talking about, don't do it. Don't get involved in any of that crap. And actually, really just try to be as low key as possible. Like, less Wi Fi, better. Sanctuary. Assume your house is your sanctuary. You know, um, let let the natural energy flow. Oh, of course. Yeah, I totally read that. It Siobhan, it's completely about surveillance. Like it's it's CIA's wet dream. Like it's their wet dream. They keep having all these wet dreams. First it was like Facebook. They were like, oh my God, everyone's really getting in on it. This is amazing. We don't even have to pay to get it to listen to everybody. Oh, and everyone does it. And then the next big freaking wet dream for them was the whole like Google thing. Everyone wants to Google themselves. Everyone's putting their stuff on Google. This is amazing. You know? And now there's Siri and Echo where it's literally in your home. I mean, and then the iPhones. I mean, I have a 4G iPhone that I do all this stuff on. But I mean, like even then, I've caught them listening in on me. I mean, it's retarded. It's a joke, honestly. At this point, I'm like, hey guys, I hope I can drop some knowledge on you guys. I know you're getting paid like $20 an hour to like listen in on me, so hopefully you're gonna and just don't buy into it and share the information with people. I mean, that's the number one thing that's so amazing right now. And what's the real point and the real hope and the real truth about this conversation and with the conversations that are happening everywhere. Girl, I feel you. I want to move to Iceland. Like, let's just go live on a fjord or something. Like, that's my dream. Like, I love where I'm at. I love it. I love it. And the big cities freak me out. The big cities are toxic. I mean, you got every major city, the energy there, the people's mentality, the food, the air, the water, the opportunities, the taxation, everything is toxic, 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 toxic. You know why? Because in every major city, the mafia runs it. Every major city. Think about that. You think you're going to have a happy, healthy, natural, comfortable situation living in a city when the mafia runs it? No. You know, I love nature. Like I just feel I don't know, I just feel so attuned when I'm in nature and when I'm just around plants and I'm around peace and looking at just the absolute natural beauty of when we don't think we have to control everything, we just let things grow and the most amazing beautiful things happen. And it's just to be able to be a servant to that or a steward to that energy space. you know, is a beautiful thing. And letting it feed you and letting you steward it is a wonderful thing. And I encourage more and more of us to really get in tune with that. You know, take off your high heels and put your bare feet on the ground and feel it. Feel it, especially women. That's super important. Feel that energy, that life energy. It's amazing. Um, anyway, it's been a really cool day. Also changed their lifestyle and their opportunity and everything 180%. And I want to encourage all of you that if you're in a crisis of conscience about something in your life that you feel like you want to, you don't have power, you're afraid of what you're going to supposedly lose, find enthusiastically about it, don't worry about it. Just be like, bye, Felicia. Absolutely amazing. That's a lot of hot words, I guess. That's all right. Mm-hmm. There we go. There we go. I must be saying a lot of hot words because I keep getting kicked off. It's very interesting. Um, but just know that you don't have to be afraid when you're in a crisis of conscience and you choose the higher good. Nothing but good can come of that. And sure, sometimes you'll get attacked and people will misunderstand you and whatnot. Don't even worry about that. Just be like, bye, Felicia. Because most of the time people react negatively when you choose something better because they don't have the balls to do it themselves and they're resentful towards you because they think who are you? Communism mentality. Who are you to go beyond our bullshit? Oh, there we go. Ugh, I am back. I guess YouTube does not like motivational speaking. It bothers them. You know, just know your power and listen to your conscience. Let your conscience be your guide. And it's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Anyway, all right. You go. Hope you guys have a really great night. And I'll talk to you guys soon.